One of the most important sources about the early humans are the rock paintings of the Stone Age found around the world. At the rock shelters of Bhimbetka, located in Madhya Pradesh, more than 500 paintings by Paleolithic and Mesolithic humans have been found. These caves have been listed as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO. In most of these paintings, animals have been shown separately as part of hunting scenes or running after hunters. Birds, fish, lizards, crabs, frogs and scorpions have also been drawn. Some paintings also show men and women. Red and white were the most widely used colors. Farming. It was during the Neolithic age that farming began on an extensive scale. Wheat and barley were the first cereals grown in the Neolithic age. Stone sickles found at several Neolithic sites suggest that these might have been used for harvesting the crops. Having learned the practice of farming, people began to lead a settled life. The early humans lived very close to nature. As the climatic conditions became favorable for the growth of plants and trees, they were able to watch them grow. They were thus able to produce their own food. Regular and extensive practice of farming made it necessary for the Neolithic people to lead a sedentary or settled life. It was only after settling down at a certain place and staying there for a long period that they could plow the soil, sow seeds, grow crops, and harvest them. The places where people settled down were mostly located close to rivers, lakes, etc. At these places, water was available regularly and in large quantity for irrigation and other purposes. Domestication of animals. The Neolithic humans began to domesticate animals on a large scale. Among the domesticated animals, dog, goat, cattle, pig, sheep, horse, and donkey were the most important. Goats and cattle provided milk and sheep provided wool. The horse and the donkey were tamed for carrying burden. The rearing of animals ensured continuous supply of meat, milk and hides. Archaeological evidences found at sites such as Mehergarh suggest that dogs, cattle, sheep and goats were domesticated for different purposes. At some Neolithic sites such as Tikkalkota, Karnataka, bones of sheep and goats have been found, indicating that they were tamed in large numbers. Domesticated animals were protected and nurtured by the Neolithic people as they were aware of their significance. Though people had started leading settled life, they would often travel from one place to another in search of pastures where they could feed their cattle. This search for pastures made them herders. Tools. During the Neolithic age, people began to produce polished and fine-cutting tools. These tools were much sharper than those used in the Mesolithic period. The tools of the Neolithic age were designed to suit the need to grow and reap crops. Hence, people used tools such as axes, plows, sickles and hoes to clear forests and harvest the crops. To grind grain, they used a kind of rounded stone that resembled the mortar and pestle used today. Besides, they also made spindles and home needles. Some of the Paleolithic and Mesolithic tools continued to be used during the Neolithic age. Microliths, about which we have read in the previous chapter, were used in spears and arrows. These were made of basalt and flint tied to a piece of wood or bone for a firm grip. At sites such as Burzahom and Gufkral in Jammu and Kashmir, stone axes have been found in large number. Besides, stone blades, stone cells, kaizels, etc. have also been found in the Deccan, Northeast and Chota Nagpur plateau. Pottery. As farming increasingly became a popular practice and therefore expanded, the Neolithic people felt the need to store food grains they produced. They started making pots and vessels for storing food grains. These were also used for eating, drinking, cooking, etc. As a result, the craft of making pots, that is pottery, came into existence. Initially, the Neolithic people wove baskets out of wild grass, applied wet clay around the baskets, and dried them in the sun. They used the baskets to store surplus grains. Gradually, they learned to make clay vessels and bake it on fire. They also started glazing and decorating the pots. These pots could be used for storing milk or water. Invention of the wheel and cart. The wheel and cart were remarkable inventions of the Neolithic humans. It is possible that a log or a stone rolling downwards sparked off the idea of the wheel. In the beginning, the Neolithic people might have placed logs of wood beneath heavy objects in order to make them move easily. Subsequently, they might have started the practice of loading anything heavy on a sledge, as it would be convenient to drag. This must have been followed by a stage in which humans might have started loading the sledge over a log of wood and realized that heavy items could move faster. They might also have noticed that the edges of the sledge caused an indentation of the log surface. The Neolithic people might have observed that the indented surface made it possible for the sledge to move along smoothly and travel longer distance. So, they might have cut the wood between the two marks of such indentation on logs of wood. Subsequently, they might have invented the cart by improving upon this technique. The wheel and cart made life easier. People could now travel from one place to another much faster than before. He could also easily transport heavy object or objects. The potter's wheel also came to be used that improved the process of making pots. Perhaps the wheel was also used in spinning thread, which led to weaving. Community life. With the advent of agriculture, man settled down permanently and began to live in villages. A Neolithic village consisted of a few closely built houses surrounded by a common fence of a prickly bush or mud wall. During the Neolithic age, the concept of family became popular for the first time. The families living in the same Neolithic settlement were closely related. They shared the same customs, beliefs, and methods of worship. A group of families came to be called a tribe. Megalith, disposal of the dead. The Neolithic people performed the practice by burying their dead. Huge rectangular blocks of stone marked the burial places in the Neolithic period. These are called megaliths. Mega means large. The dead were buried along with many objects that they used during their lifetime. This shows that the Neolithic man believed in life after death. Cremation was also practiced. Chalcolithic age. In the Chalcolithic age, people began to use both stone and copper tools. Chalcolithic age is also known as the Copper Stone Age. This period was short but extremely important, as it was a transition period for man from Stone Age to the Age of Metals. Copper was the first metal to be discovered. Copper tools were better than tools made from stone. In course of time, copper began to be mixed with other metals to form stronger metals. Social life. Early humans lived in groups. They also moved around in groups to protect themselves from wild animals. Each group consisted of men, women, children, and domesticated animals. The concept of private property was not popular. Everything belonged to the group. Simple division of labor existed within the group. Each group had a leader. Gradually, the idea of private property emerged. Besides hunting and food gathering, people had many other duties to perform. Hence, the division of labor became more organized. Each and every member in the group was given a specific task. Some cultivated the fields, some had to look after the animals, and some were given the task of making different tools. Life became more comfortable for the early man. He started living at one place. He began to produce more food and exchange his things with other groups. Later, he constructed mud huts. Ornaments of shell and bone appeared. Generally, the ornaments were made by women. The clothes also underwent a change. Man began to use clothes made from cotton. Religious life. The early man was afraid of natural calamities. As he was ignorant of the causes of lightning and thunder, earthquakes and weather changes, he worshipped the sky, sun, rain, and other objects of nature. By the end of the Chalcolithic period, people began to lead a secure, comfortable, and organized life. He had become a food producer, but writing was still unknown to him. So, they communicated with one another and passed on important messages orally. The skill of writing was developed much later when the script came into existence for the first time.